watching Rogers TV.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Here we are back again with Third Eye View. And today, my favorite author, Eva Pohler, is back with us. And I have a feeling she's got a few new stories to tell us.
I do.
You do. And I do know that there's some new travels coming up for you too in the coming year.
Oh, I'm super excited to hear about that.
Yeah. They're telling me something about Europe.
Well, my son is talking about going to Poland this summer, but I won't be joining him. But that has been a big discussion in our family because he's going there to meet a girl that he thinks he's in love with that he hasn't met face to face yet. So we're a little nervous.
Oh, isn't that wonderful though?
Yeah.
You know, my daughter and my son-in-law, they met on a dating app.
Oh, and they turned out okay?
Oh, they did. They've been married, Lord, I don't know how many years, but they have a 9-year-old son. And they're away right now on, mom is babysitting so that they can have a week away down in Mexico. But no, they just phenomenal together. They really are. They're a real team. So, yeah.
That's comforting. That's comforting to hear because, you know, his father and I have just been a little bit worried about him, you know, just, you know, picking up and going to Poland and not really knowing.
And how old is he, Eva?
He's about to turn 25. So he's, you know, he's a young man. He's old enough to do stuff like this. And he's saved up the money for the trip. So, you know, it's not like we can tell him no, but we just want to guide him.
Yeah, but what a great adventure for him.
That's true. I need to look at it that way. That's true.
Absolutely. Anyway, so what is new in your world of adventure and books?
Well, I have 2 books that I'm working on right now. One is with my young adult fantasy based on Greek mythology. It's called Athena, and it's the first book in a new series called Gods and Monsters. And each book is divided up into 2 parts. There's the ancient times, and then there's a time leap forward to modern times. And what I'm trying to do is capture the essence of each deity that I write about in ancient times and their tragic love stories, because you know they're almost all tragic.
They are.
But then I want to bring them to the present and give them their happily ever after. So that is what I'm doing right now. The first book is Athena. I have at least 5 more planned, but I'm not announcing which deities I'm writing on because I want to surprise my readers like a few months before release with that reveal. But I'm so excited about bringing this new culture to, you know, a lot of people in the United States have some understanding of the Greek stories, but I feel like there's so much that we don't know and understand. And I love bringing in different cultures into my writing. So
you do. And I have to tell you, I have been for years, since way back when I was a teenager, I've always been a fan of Greek mythology. Just loved it. And the stories and
I fell in love in the 8th grade when I just picked a random book from my 8th grade English teacher's classroom library. And that was my first introduction to Greek myths. And I became obsessed. Yeah. And I just love the stories. And I feel like I'm actually a fan fiction writer writing about these Greek myths, you know, because I love them so much. And I try to be as faithful as I can to most of the stories, even though there are so many different versions, you know, you kind of have to pick which one you're going to stick with. And then I love giving them my own twist. It's been a thrill. And like I said, I try to bring in all these different cultures and maybe open people's minds up to the various stories that humans tell as we try to understand spirit, you know. I'm also a big fan of Joseph Campbell, you know, his book about, what is it called? Something about myth. And this idea that there is a universal a universality to all of these stories. That all of these different cultures that are telling their creation stories, they have so much in common.
Oh, they do.
And it's like the spirit is inspiring us all, but they're being manifested in slight variations from one another, but all saying basically the same thing.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that I like about the books that you do, because although it's basically fiction, but it is also based on fact.
Yes. Even my young adult fantasy, even though I wouldn't say mythology is fact, but it's based on research. Yes, and many people do believe it is. Many people, and I sometimes, I have to be honest, I feel like when we pray to spirit, sometimes it does help to have a personification to imagine in our mind. And that's where, in my personal opinion, no offense to anybody, but that's where we have like Jesus or Muhammad or whoever you imagine, right? And there are times when I imagine Hecate or Athena or one of the other deities in my head, just to make the experience of praying to spirit a little bit more personal. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. And, when there's, the Greek mythology, and I think that is the one that most people are familiar with, but is it Roman?
Well, Greek and Roman kind of coincide. The Romans just changed the names of the Greek deities. So where you might have, like you might have Artemis might be Diana, but they're the same basic principle.
Okay.
But I think Norse and Egyptian and Japanese, there's so many different stories out there that are interesting and similar to the other cultures,
And, it makes you wonder. It really does, how all of these different nationalities, sort of all over the world, how they all came up with very similar. And this is why I think, okay, it's a story, but I do feel that it honestly is based on a reality.
Yes, it's a way of trying to get to the truth, but using figurative, like symbolic representation of it. Because I think that the real truth might be too much for the human mind to fathom. So we need the stories so that we can get as close as possible to the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's kind of my theory about it anyway.
Yeah. Now, you have published, since we last spoke, you have published some new books?
Yes, I have. The Haunted Bridge. The Haunted Bridge came out last October.
Okay.
And that one takes place at the Great Salt Lake in Utah. And it brings in lots of the many different legends and stories and history of the settling of Salt Lake City and that whole area.
Ooh.
As these three friends are trying to piece together why these bodies are appearing in the Great Salt Lake. Why do they keep finding these dead bodies that are now suddenly being washed up on the islands, and no one knows where these bodies came from, who they are. And so these three ladies are trying to solve that mystery. And so so I try to tie in a whole bunch of different stories together to bring in what becomes the solution to this mystery. It was a lot of fun to write, to write.
I'll bet it was. Now, I may be remembering wrong, but weren't you going out towards Sedona?
It was Hot Springs, Arkansas. Okay. I just went there at the end of February because I'm also working on a story called Voices in the Vapors, taking place in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And I had a wonderful time there. It's a beautiful place to visit. The hot springs are a delight to sit in, but I was very much inspired by research that I did. I discovered that the springs because, you can go, they have spigots where you can go and fill up your Yeti or your water bottle for free. And you can drink these wonderful spring water that's just naturally bubbling up from the surface. And in my research, I discovered that water that we're drinking and touching today started its journey 4,000 years ago. And so this inspired me that when my three ladies go there to visit, that they're going to hear voices in the vapors from these ancient Native American spirits that were alive 4,000 years ago. And so
wow.
and they're of course going to have an urgent message for these ladies. It's something that they have to hurry up and do, or it's going to mean, all kinds of curses for the people.
Oh, that sounds good. Now, I also remember you were talking about going over to Britain.
Yes. That's not going to be for 2 more years.
Okay.
My husband and I have sat down and looked at our finances, and I'm not the best at money. And so, he's like, if you
I
could
understand
save
that
this amount by this amount a day. So this is our travel plan. So next summer, he's agreed that we're finally going to do the Alaskan cruise I've been wanting to do with my girlfriends and their husbands.
Oh,
And
nice.
and I want to write a book about that. And my title right now, my working title is Alaskan Clues. And so, of course, there'll be some kind of mystery and experience with ghosts on the ship.
Yeah.
But I've never been on a cruise. So I feel like I can't write that book until I go.
And
I'm like,
so
come
you
on,
do
honey, we got to do
Yeah.
this. So he's promised that next summer we'll do that. And then the following summer, I'm planning a mother-daughter trip with my best friend. And we talked about this in one of your episodes, to Scotland. And you foresaw this. I didn't announce it to anybody. You foresaw it, but I had already been thinking about doing this and had already worked in the I planted the seed in another book about my main character having Scottish ancestry. So she's going to be bequeathed this haunted castle, and she and her friends are going to need to go to Scotland to try to, solve this mystery of the ghost haunting the castle. So I need to go to Scotland. And so those are the 2 trips that I have planned so far. I mean, I have others that I long to go on, but those are the only 2 that I've really, made the effort to make happen.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So
that'll be interesting.
yes, but lately, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I said, that will be really interesting.
So to prepare for those trips, and I told you my husband is like setting down some financial guidelines for me. I'm trying harder to be more business minded in my writing, not just an author, but an entrepreneur, somebody who focuses on making the right business choices to grow money, right? And so I've been doing all of this research and watching video after video and taking course after course and really educating myself more. And because one thing that's happened in the book industry, it's become so saturated that the first book free doesn't work anymore. So for years, an author could make a really good living, and I was able to do it too, by just having the first book in a long series free. People would download that free book, and then they'd go on to read the rest. And that's how I made my living for years. But that's not happening anymore because there are so many free books out there. People download them onto their Kindle or whatever reading device, and they never read them. And so I'm having to pivot and come up with a new strategy. And so that's another thing that I've been focusing on lately. And I even did a tarot reading for myself. What should I do? What direction should I go? Show me, guide me. And I used my Greek deck, and the 3 cards that came up were Hermes, who's the messenger god, and he represents being open to messages from the universe. So that card is telling me I need to be more open and let the universe, instead of me being my stubborn, pig-headed self, I need to be open.
Yeah.
The next one was Chiron, which was surprising because he represents healing. And that's telling me that I need to heal in some way.
Yeah.
And I think that it might have to do with me being so totally obsessed and a workaholic that I don't have the right work-life balance. And if I did, maybe I'd be more productive.
Yeah, you probably would, because, that is something that's important, is having that balance.
Yes.
And I think I'm lazy, but my husband keeps telling me that I'm a workaholic. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not.
Because you're doing what you love.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel.
Yes. And I think it is a problem because we can become so obsessed with it that we start it, and it's like you're off in your own little world.
Exactly. That's exactly how it is for me. I
Oh,
am
yeah.
off in my own little world.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in my recliner, so I look like I'm relaxing, but I'm writing, I'm
Yeah.
strategizing, I'm marketing, I'm always doing stuff. I'm interacting
Yeah.
with my fans because I want to give them this experience.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting my backside out of that chair and going for a walk or doing other things, which I
Yeah.
need to force myself to do. So I think that's what Chiron
Yeah.
is trying to tell me.
I
But
think so.
but the last one kind of stumped me a little bit, and it was Pontus, who is the embodiment of the sea, and he usually represents the unknown. And his message is usually this isn't actually the deck I made. This is a deck that I purchased. And in the guidebook, it says that you need to ride the wave. Even though it will be scary and thrilling, you will eventually get to land and it will be a better place. But I'm still having trouble interpreting how that applies to me, this unknown, ride the wave, you'll get to a better place. It's a little vague to me. So I'm struggling with that.
Okay. Funny when, you talked about the water, my first thought that came into my head was your Alaskan cruise. All right. And just give me a minute here.
No worries.
They're not giving me a lot because they're saying that you need to figure this out on your own. Absolutely taking the advice of Chiron and taking time, good quality time for you to relax so that new ideas can come in.
Yes,
Okay?
those two are tied together.
They are. And there is, like you've got your certain genres that you work with, but there is something new that's going to be coming in. It's very different. And I see you sitting there and it's like, oh God, do I, don't I? It's not really what I do. It's different. Ride the wave.
You said this something similar last time that stumped me. You said that I was going to be writing in another genre. I don't know if you remember this.
No, I don't. I don't remember.
Yeah, I know, because it's been months since we talked. And of course I remember because I wrote it down and I've been pondering it. And you thought that it might even be something like science fiction. And I was just talking to my daughter about this last night, about how you said that. And I'm like,
remember now.
I just don't know if I can see myself writing science fiction. I do have a book called The Mystery Man, where the main character is caught in a time loop. So it does have a science fiction-y little element to it. And I am interested in time travel and thought about doing a time travel, and that would be science fiction series.
Absolutely.
But I just haven't, I'm still pondering. Like you said, I'm kind of, should I not? Should I not? And you're telling me that I need to ride that wave. Let me write that down.
Yeah. Okay. What they're telling me is ride the tidal wave of time.
Ooh. The tidal wave of time sounds like a good title for a series too.
Well, maybe that's what they're giving you. They're giving you now it's up to you to figure it out.
Yeah, well, thank you. I like that. Okay, well, I'm going to have to open up my mind to this.
Yeah.
This sounds exciting now that you've given it more, you've given it more detail. You've opened it up more to make me see it better. You've fleshed it out. That's what you've done, is you've fleshed it out.
Now, on the Women's Network, like here in Canada, there's a show called The Way Home, I believe is what it's called. And it's about time travel. And there's a pond, and they dive into the pond, and the pond will take them where they need to go. And I'm being told to tell you about, I love it. It's a great, great show. But I'm supposed to tell you about it because it's not so much copying what they do, but it's that idea of finding that portal that will take them, and they will have no idea where in time they're going. Okay, but it takes them where they're supposed to go. And there'll be something that they do there. Hey, you should be getting these ideas, not me. There'll be things that that need to be fixed. so to speak. Things in
Something
history.
like these ladies are doing with their ghosts.
Absolutely.
I wonder if this would be a spin-off with those same ladies or if it would be an entirely new group of people.
I'm going to say spin-off.
Because I could see them finding this portal.
Okay. Hold on. What they're telling me, it's kind of, it's these ladies, and in one of the books you're writing, where they are, they're investigating something. Okay. But the end of the book is going to be different, because it's at the end of that book that they fall into this portal and end up in a different area, a different time. And then that's where it ends.
I love it. And then that would be where the spin-off series goes from.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. You've got me so excited.
Oh, good. So it ends as a cliffhanger. Okay, so it's not where it's ending, where they're solving the mystery. It's where they have solved the one mystery, but by taking that step sideways or through a different door, it's like, oh my God.
I'm seeing these, I'm getting visions too. I'm seeing these 3 mirrors in this big hallway where at the end of that story you're referring to, they are walking through there, and at just the right time, something happens in these 3 mirrors that puts them into a new era. And I'm thinking this might be a new way that they can help the ghosts solve the mysteries of the past by physically going there to the past and unraveling what happened. Like, ooh, this is fun. This is exciting.
It is. So it's still a mystery. They're still solving mysteries, but they're solving them in a different time. And these mirrors or whatever take them to whatever time they're supposed to help the spirits fix things.
I love it. These mirrors are going to act as a kind of vortex where spirits can normally travel, but now they somehow
can do it.
They can do it.
Because okay, when I do a cleansing on a house, okay, if I'm called into a house to do a cleansing on it, the way I was taught way back with my teacher Lizanne is that all the different portals, like we have to use sage and cleanse the different portals. So it would be any opening into the house, a doorway, a window, a drain, plugs, and mirrors. A drain, a plug, a sink, because it's got that portal right to the outside. And like I say, definitely mirrors. And when she first started teaching us about past lives, we did it with mirrors. Oh, I've got a story. This might be right up your alley. Anyway, she taught us how to do it with a mirror, and you sit in front of the mirror, you focus, your reflection literally disappears.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is something that takes a lot of focus, a lot of concentration, because when your reflection disappears, your mind starts, whoa, where are you? You know. But my friend David, he was over one time, and I wanted, and this is when she was teaching us about past life regressions with mirrors. And I set up a long mirror on 2 chairs for David and I to sit at, because I wanted to get to a past life that David and I had together. Well, I was a little more adventurous with these things than David was. So we sat there and my reflection disappeared. And David wore dark rimmed glasses and his reflection disappeared, but you could see his glasses were floating in the mirror. And it was really funny. And then, so that brought him back. But I went in and I came, like your reflection in this life disappears. And then the reflection that comes to you is you in a past life. All right. So as I was looking in, my reflection came back as a young woman, long, straggly black hair. And I put my hand up to the mirror, and my hand, it was different. The reflection, like she did what I did, but it was totally two different people. And I remember telling David, you have to get hold of Father John. They have thrown me in the basement. They've locked the door. I'm in the cellar, and they're accusing me of witchcraft, and I didn't do it. You need to get Father John. I really don't know what it was about. But that is, and then it sort of worked its way out. But that was a thing that David and I got into with past life regressions using a mirror. That was one of our experiences.
It sounds like that you were falsely accused of witchcraft in a past life, and that you want to be discovered. Like where are you on this is where I am.
Yeah. Like, come and help me. Get Father John. And it was such an emphatic, get Father John, whoever that was, but that he would come and help me.
That's so interesting. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. You're inspiring me in so many ways you can't imagine.
Oh, good. But it's, again, these are stories they want me to tell you. So that you're not going at it blind. You know what I mean? So to speak, right? You can take these, this sort of thing can happen. And we did another thing with past lives. I'll have to, when I get home, because I'm at my daughter's right now, when I get home, I'll have a look for the picture and I'll send it to you. But this friend of mine, John, I was teaching him and his wife about past life regressions, okay? And we came up with one, and we found out where he was buried, what his name was in that lifetime, and where he was buried. Well, and it was down in the Niagara area. Well, I had to go down there to check out someone's house, and John came with me at that time because he was a professional photographer, and he was playing around with different lighting and that to capture pictures of spirit. Well, it didn't matter where we went, what roads we took, we could not find our way to this person we were supposed to go to. Every turn we took, we ended up at this darn cemetery, the one where he was buried.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Well, we walked around, we found it. We found the gravestone of where he was in a past life, like from when he died. It was the name, the dates, everything. So it had gotten late in the day, and he said, well, look, we'll come back next week. He said, I'll bring all the stuff and we'll just come here and focus on it. So, yeah, fair enough. So he came back, he had all his camera equipment. Now, again, I want to emphasize, John was a professional photographer. Okay, this is what he did for a living. So anyway, he set up his camera in front of this grave marker, and he got a funny look on his face. I said, John, are you all right? And he said, I don't know. He said, I feel like I'm in between two worlds. He forgot how to use his camera because he was going to set the timer on it. He couldn't do it. And he was getting frustrated, and I started laughing because I thought, oh God, this is funny. And he started swearing. John never swore, okay, not in this lifetime. It was the first time I'd ever heard. Well, the more frustrated he got, the more he swore, the more I laughed. It didn't make it any better. So I said, look, calm down. I know how I can't set the timer, but I can take a picture. So he said, all right. So I took a picture. When he got the pictures developed, he was in the picture all right, but you could see right through him.
Wow.
He was transparent. You could see right through him. And his last name was Warren. And ironically, one of the gravestones behind him, the last name on it was Warren.
Wow. So do you think
Yeah.
that his past life was somehow trying to
Yeah,
infiltrate him? And that's why he
absolutely.
was cursing. That's why he couldn't
Yeah,
remember the timer
yeah,
because he was
absolutely.
confused by this. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. It was in essence, it was a form of a past life regression. All right, where he had gone back.
Past life regression.
The We're going to take a break in a few minutes. When we're back, I can tell you a couple of stories about past life regressions. Um,
I would love
I
that.
Okay, because there's one that with me where I literally went back to Atlantis. Um, my husband, I put him on a past life regression, and he got confirmation of it on TV on National Geographic. He saw
Wow.
everything on TV that he had actually seen in the regression that I did on him.
I would
So,
love to hear those stories.
yeah, well, I'll tell them when we come back, and you can maybe use some of these ideas too.
Absolutely. I feel like I need to pay you some kind of like commission fee.
Just send me a book.
Okay, deal.
Yeah, just send me a book. But no, you do. You have, God, I know you have read, and I think I've maybe said this to you before. Now, how many books have you written now?
It's a total of 40 now.
A total of 40. Yeah, I knew it was up in that range. And keep it, what I'm about to say, keep in mind that everything is in perspective.
Okay.
All right. And this is important with anyone when you're getting readings, and to keep that in mind, because where you are now and where you're going to be are two very different things. And you, in essence, are at the very beginning of your career.
Wow, I like that.
Okay. You will end up writing, if not more than, very close to 100 books.
I love it.
Okay. So you've got a lot of writing to do. You need a lot of ideas.
Well, I'm a pretty obsessed writer, so I can imagine that I could do it, because
Well,
I
I
wrote
think you
these 40
can.
books in just a little over 10 years.
Wow.
So I guess it's been about 11 years now since I started writing.
Writing.
And so I do believe that you might be right about that, because that's how passionate I am about it, how much
Yeah.
I love it, although I do need that work-life balance we talked about.
Yeah, you do. You do. But you're going to be going into areas that you just haven't been into before.
I love it.
But we're going to take a short break.
Okay.
And when we get back, I will tell you some more stories. And then you can fill us in on some other things that you're looking at. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
My name is Matthew Rutledge. I'm a 60 scoop survivor, born in Red Lake. Was adopted from there to Toronto at the age of 4. A lot of our brothers and sisters, family members got separated from each other. That was the government's goal, to break that connection from brothers and sisters. Basically taking the Indian out of the child. Right now, they're still trying to find themselves. Originally, my birth name is Harvey Halverson. In my high school days, teens, I was trying to fit into society. I knew I was First Nations, but I didn't know who I was inside. I think later in life, I started that journey. I am proud Anishinaabe man, who I am now. I love life, who I am.
These days at your local Legion, we're marching to the beat of a different drum. On a mission to support veterans, to have fun, and to welcome everyone to our ranks. You don't have to be a veteran to join the Legion. And as a member, you'll join thousands of others serving our veterans, our communities, and our country. Oh yeah, and our Member Perks program will save you thousands on shopping, dining, products, and services across the country. Join us at legion.ca.
And welcome back. So, Eva, we've had a little bit of a chat during the break. But one of the things, first of all, we were talking about past lives. And my husband, okay, well, I did one. I used to have a pyramid, a copper pyramid in my living room, and that you could actually sit under. And on top of it was an amethyst pyramid. Well, a friend, actually, it was Russ's son, he was doing past life regressions, and I wanted to have a past life, because I'm always up to trying things, but I wanted to have a past life regression done in this pyramid because I wanted to see where it would take me. So, this person, he's telling, he's taking me through and, doing all this, and my guides take over, and it's like, oh God, I haven't got time for all of this. Bang, I'm there in this past life. And I was in Atlantis, and I remember the stairs, the step, it was under the ocean, on the bottom of the ocean. There were big stone steps that I went up, and I went into a hall, and then I went up some more, and I was in a room, and it was like an altar.
Now, were you in water, or were you in a chamber where the water was? Okay.
I was in a chamber, and like when I went into the building, there was no water.
Okay.
Okay. And there was a stone slab table, like an altar, and over to the right, where I stood over to the right, there was a pyramid, but it was pure energy. You couldn't see it, but it was there. You could feel it. And when I looked up, there was an opening, and I could see up into the sky.
Wow.
Okay. Now, Russ was sitting there, and he put his hand inside the pyramid. At the same time, I put my hand inside this energy pyramid, and even he could feel the energy going up his arm.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Like, it was really weird. And then when his son tried to bring me back, I didn't want to come back, and not at that point. And so they got really panicky. But to me, it was like a fly on the wall. It's like, never mind, go away. I'm having too much fun here. So it was an experience. And then my guides brought me back on my own. But they will do that. And again, it's because of the way I was taught. I have complete trust in my guides, and they always look after me.
Now, have you since done any research on Atlantis or tried to connect with that experience?
No. Now, the one where we actually did get confirmation, Russ and I, we went to, it was before we moved up this way, up to Port, and we were up for the weekend, and we were staying in a hotel, and he wanted to try this past life. Well, I really pushed him into it. I'm always the instigator. And because I wanted to find out if I could get him to a past life where him and I were together. So I got him into this past, put him down into a past life. And I told him to describe himself to me. And he was a young man. He bare feet. He had dark skin. He was walking along a path, and there was a great big rock that he had in the path that he had to walk around. And he came to a cave, and he went down the steps into this cave. And he thought he was native. Like, that was his thinking. Now, I asked him, I said, is there a woman in your life? Expecting him to say something about me, right? And he was like, no, what do I need a woman in my life for?
Oh, no.
Oh, that's not funny. So anyway, got him back out of it. And I guess about 6 months later, when we had actually moved up this way up to Port Elgin, and Russ he was sitting downstairs watching his TV, and he called me down. He said, "Lynn, you've got to come and see this." He was watching a documentary by National Geographic on Neanderthal man.
Neanderthal.
It showed the path that he walked on. It showed the big rock that he had to walk around to the cave. Now, the cave now, you just walk straight in, but they explained how there were steps built into it that went down. I can't remember how many feet. And one of the reasons that Neanderthal man did not survive was because there was no family unit.
Oh, that's why he didn't think he needed a wife.
That's right.
That all does sound like confirmation. Wow, that's giving me chills.
Yeah, well, it certainly did him and me. So, there's times where you get things like that. Anyone, if you're looking to figure out past lives, take a look at things that you really love to do. Chances are it's something that you did in a past life. What are your fears? Your fears, if they don't make sense in this life, they can stem from a past life. I will admit, I have grown out of it mostly, but I hate thunderstorms. And when I was younger, I would go hide. If there was a thunderstorm, I would hide. And I did have a past life regression done, and I was in a war, and they were bombing, and that's how I died.
Oh gosh. So the sound is what was triggering you in this life.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's so interesting. And you're just giving me all kinds of inspiration here. You were talking about how you were, you kept, as you were driving, you kept bumping into the cemetery. No matter where you went, it would take.
Exactly.
That reminded me of when my friend and I were going to Oklahoma. That happened to us. We had our daughters with us, and we kept every road we took us to a dead end to the cemetery. And we eventually got out of it. But now that I think about it, I wonder if there was something we were supposed to do there,
Yeah.
It didn't dawn on me then. I just kept thinking, where am I? I'm lost. But we just 4 or 5 times, no matter what road we took, there we were at the cemetery. I might have to go back.
Yeah. And I mean, this is something that I have come to understand over the years, that if something keeps coming up, don't ignore it. Pay attention to it.
And that goes back to that Hermes card that I got, which is where I need to be more open to the signals from the universe. Don't ignore.
Yeah. So listen to it. Hey, so
putting asterisks by it. Don't forget, don't ignore.
yeah. But, there are so many things that are unexplainable. And you can't, and animals. I don't know if you've brought animals into any of your stories or not.
I do. Not until, in my young adult fantasy, it's early on because I'm a big animal lover, especially dogs. We have 3 that live with us. But in my young adult fantasy series, the main character, who was mortal in the beginning and eventually becomes a goddess, she becomes the goddess of animal companions. And as Cupid shoots people in the hearts to make them fall in love, she shoots the pet owners and their pets to make them fall in love. And she goes to animal shelters and tries to help animals get adopted. So that's a big part of that series.
Kind of cool. Yeah.
And then in the Mystery House series, I recently had one of my dogs, Mo, start going with the main character on some of their investigations because, I think many people believe that animals, especially dogs and cats, are very in tune. And so I've been kind of bringing that into the story.
Yes, very much. I have my dad's rocking chair in the living room. My dad passed away 2017. So I have his chair. It's more of a glider, really, than a rocker. And our dog Brandy, Doberman, still a puppy. She'll be 2 in August, and Dobermans don't really mature until they're after. They still is a big puppy, and every day, at least once a day, she goes up to my dad's chair. She lifts, gives it a little push, gives it a rock, walks away. Sometimes she'll look at it. And then she'll go back later again. She looks, and it's like, yep, and gives it a little push. And I swear to God, my dad's sitting in there, and she's rocking him in that chair.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must be very comforting for you too, as well, right?
Well, it is. It is. And she's constantly towards the front of the house, that she's always looking up there. And yeah, because we do have a lot of ghosts, a lot of spirit activity in our house anyway. So, but dogs are very.
Yeah. And sometimes I even feel like I feel a dog that passed away several years ago. And it almost feels like Mo has jumped up next to me. But then when I look, there's no dog there. And I wonder if and he's buried here next to our house. So I sometimes think that he's still coming and jumping on my bed.
Yeah, they're giving me the confirmation that it is Clifford.
Oh.
And I get the same thing too. It's like one of the dogs jumps up on the bed every so often, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can feel the bed give or the couch give. And then you look and you don't see anything. And at least for me, I don't see anything, but I think, could that be Clifford?
Yeah. And it's comforting,
It is. It's very comforting.
It really is. Yeah. So now, now you talked about the haunted bridge. Is there another, have you got something coming out?
Well, Athena comes out at the end of April. Athena is the first of the Gods and Monsters I was telling you about. It's releasing on April 25th and is already available. Love is Prometheus, and no one has written this story that I can find anywhere of Athena and Prometheus, but it seems so natural. Humans came to be from the views of the ancient Greeks, from Prometheus, forging and giving them fire. This story, and it's been exciting to write.
That's good. Now, Athena, she was the goddess of
wisdom.
Of wisdom.
And war. And no, wisdom, war. Yeah. You're right about war. Yeah. And also handicraft. She was a great weaver. And she learned that from her mother. Her mother was swallowed by Zeus before Athena was born. And Athena was born inside of Zeus and lived inside of Zeus for a long time before he had such a headache that he finally got somebody, Hephaestus, to hit him with an axe, and then Athena sprang fully formed from his head. And she already was fully armed, and her mother was weaving that armor all that time, and she learned weaving from her mother. So she's a great weaver. She's also a great strategist. She's somebody who oversees like civic responsibility, civic duty. She's a leader of cities and a leader of heroes. But her wisdom is what she's most known for. So she's, a favorite for a lot of people. But I don't know of any novel that's been written solely dedicated to her. And so I think this might be a first. I'm hoping anyway.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think I'm looking forward to it. I know they're for younger people.
Well, I tried to write it so that, the majority of my readers, to be honest, are my age, in their 50s, in their 60s. And even though when I first started writing the series, I was imagining young people, it just it just seems that they attract the older people. So they are clean. I don't really like that word, but I don't know what else to use to describe, no sex, but they're still appealing to older readers in many ways.
Yeah.
So it can be enjoyed by both, but I guess I'm marketing them as young adult so that people understand they have expectations about what this love story is going to entail.
Exactly.
It's a sweeter love story, less spicy,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. I'll probably end up getting one of those ones to read.
Well, I'm excited about this release. And like I said, it's the first of several I have planned. And they can be read in any order because they're independent stories about these deities, even though they share the same universe. This one will focus on Athena. The next one, I'm not going to say, but anyway, I'm thrilled.
Now, there's, I can't remember the name of it. But on Facebook, there's one that I see the ads for all the time, and you've got like a cartoon drawing.
Is it the Bookworm Bible that you're seeing? Or are you seeing Thanatos and the Underworld Saga as a cartoon drawing? That might be the one. Yeah, that's Thanatos is the first book of the Underworld Saga, which is the Greek gods and goddess, Thanatos being the god of death. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, Meet Joe Black, starring Anthony Hopkins and Brad Pitt. It was about death wanting a holiday, death wanting an opportunity to come and see what it was like to live a mortal life. And so he makes a deal with the Anthony Hopkins character that if you'll show me the ropes, I'll extend your life so that you can be present for your 60th birthday. And the Anthony Hopkins character is like, well, he doesn't really feel like he has much of a choice, so he agrees. And so death inhabits the body of the character played by Brad Pitt, just as a bus hits the Brad Pitt and then death just takes over the body and, walks away from it. So I wondered how that movie would have been different if it had been based on the Greek stories, because I had a lot of questions, like who was death and what happened after he left? Because while he was there, he felt he had a relationship, with a mortal woman. But, what did that entail? Anyway, that's the inspiration behind Thanatos. I wanted to see what it would be like to focus on the Greek stories. And have Thanatos come and walk the earth and fall in love and have adventures and all of that kind of thing. So that's how the whole series, it's got 10 books in it now. That's where it began, was with Thanatos. Yeah, so it's basically about a 17-year-old girl who finds herself in a coma after her parents have been killed. She doesn't know she's in a coma. She thinks she's just dreaming, and she's a lucid dreamer. So she takes control of her dream, and she doesn't realize she's kissing death, and death had never been kissed. And that's what makes death want to, whoa, what am I missing? Yeah. And that's what sparks his desire to go to the upper world. He wants to go find this girl who kissed him in this coma.
That sounds good.
Of course they fall in love, but they can't be together because as death, he would just make her die if she were to be with him. So she has to become a goddess. So that sparks her journey in trying to prove she's worthy to the other gods. She goes through all these challenges. She finds out that there's so much more to being a god than she ever realized. And anyway, it's supposed to be kind of like a parallel journey, I think, to a person growing up and figuring out their purpose and, becoming an adult where you think you're going to have all this power and freedom, but you realize it comes with a lot of responsibilities and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds interesting.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. You just can't even run out of ideas when it comes to the Greek stories because there's so many possible.
So many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many interesting different ways you can take the stories too. So I feel like I'll have material till the day I die to write about for that. As long as people read them, I'll keep writing them.
If you're going to be writing close to 100 books, then
that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Good thing you've got all of these ideas.
Yeah, and it's true for the mystery series too, because there's so many historical injustices to bring to life. And that's what those books do, is they find historical injustices and try to bring them to life. And it's by bringing them to life and solving the problem, that the three ladies help these ghosts move on and find their peace.
Now,
Sometimes,
oh, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, sometimes these ghosts are victims of the injustice, and they need their voices to be heard. They need to, be understood. And sometimes the ghosts are the villains. They're the oppressors themselves who feel guilty and are looking for some kind of atonement. And so both of these things are happening in these stories.
That's good. Now, if someone wanted to follow along with you to see, what you have, what's coming up. Now, you have a Facebook page. Is that correct?
Yes, it's just Eva Pohler. And they can also go to my website at evapohler.com. And if they sign up to join my list, they'll get a free book called The Bookworm Bible with all kinds of tips and tricks on enriching your reading experience, lots of free resources like a downloadable reading log, review templates to make it easier to leave reviews, and even an online reading journal that you can copy and use for yourself, printable bookmarks, all kinds of goodies. And you just go and sign up, and you get that delivered to your inbox. And then about, once every couple of weeks, I send updates about what's going on, along with all kinds of other goodies throughout. I try to give my readers a lot of value in this world where there's so many writers and so many books. I try to stand out by giving my readers an experience and lots of value when they come aboard with me. It's not just about, here's a book, go read it, go on. It's about welcome to my world, and here's an experience that will enrich your life.
Right. Now, your books are available on Amazon.
Yes, but you can buy them at other places like Barnes & Noble and Kobo and Google Play and Books A Million. And you can also buy them directly from me, and I'll sign them for you. And the ebooks and many of the audiobooks are also available on my website as well. So, and they're a little cheaper if you buy from me. So the ebooks and audiobooks.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. That's good. But again, I order everything off of Amazon.
I do too. It's so convenient. Plus 2-day shipping. If you have Amazon Prime, it's hard to beat that.
Oh, it really is. Okay. A minute ago. All righty. So we are, I believe, just about at the end.
I have had so much fun. It just always goes by so fast.
It really does. It really does. And like I said, I love having you on. I love talking to you.
Likewise.
And you bring out a lot of stories in me, sort of remind me of a lot of things.
Well, you do the same to me and inspire me. I've got so many notes. I should show you this paper. It's like full of them.
Well, that's good. That's good.
And I'm sure the listeners are enjoying this as well. All your stories are so fascinating. Yes. So I can see why you have a following.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, anyway, it was absolutely wonderful, like I say, having you on the show. Always enjoy it. And we will definitely be in touch about some other things that we talked about. And to those that are watching, remember, keep laughter in your heart. That's what keeps us going. Life's best medicine. So, till next time.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Like most of Canada's film and media industries, Todd Studio is mostly straight and white. But by pledging to check their privilege, Todd Studio can now help fund programs to finally create a more diverse talent pool. And Todd, you can stop hiding behind this plan. What?
Actually, I'm in the vents.
Stop hiding from our industry's lack of diversity and pledge to help POV fix it. Go to checkyourprivilege.ca.
Buckle up, we're cleared for takeoff.
Here we go, boys, here we go.
16 teams, one champion for the greatest trophy in sports.
You know why I'm here.
A time for new heroes to be born.
This is a guy who wants to get to the Stanley Cup Finals.
This is what I'm here for.
Stanley Cup champions. I'm here.
I'm here.
I'm here for the Stanley Cup.
They've reached the seventh.
I'm here to win.
The Stanley Cup playoffs here.